Okay, welcome to Hidden Talent Media's second episode tutorial. So today we have the amazing Hiba Abou Chabke.
Close enough.
Okay. So Hiba has been a photographer since middle school, and she's been in her high school newspaper, portraits in the yearbook, and she has her own business called
Hibaacphotography.
Hibaacphotography. Hiba is one of the best photographers I know. So Hiba is a communication studies major with a digital media focus and a minor in photography. Hiba is going to be telling you guys a little bit about how to make your photography better, some tips that she does, and I'm going to be showing you guys some of her work.
I think my biggest tip when it comes to photography and making your work better or good or whatever word you want to use to describe it, just have fun doing it. Like, if you're not enjoying it and if you're not actually having fun with it, it's not going to look good and it's going to show that you're not enjoying it. My favorite thing to take pictures of is people, but candids, not like posed portraits. Let's see, my biggest tip, I would say that my biggest tip to make sure that your picture turns out right is to make sure that you're taking it right in the first place. Like, pay attention to your thirds, pay attention to like your framing, make sure that it's straight so that you don't have to rotate it later and in Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever you use to edit your pictures, because then it's going to affect everything else that's in the picture. I like to focus a lot on my horizon and make sure that that's straight, because if that's straight, then pretty much everything else is going to be straight. That's how your picture is straight. I just said straight 3 times in the same sentence. I think something else that you should probably focus on is making sure that your exposure is right when you're taking the picture so that you don't have a lot of editing to do afterwards. If your exposure is right, it makes your editing a lot easier. If it's too dark when you're editing it and you're trying to add more light to it, it can kind of distort the picture, the image. Same thing with if it's too light and you're trying to tone it down a bit. It's easier to edit it when it's too light because you can just add darkness to it, but if you're trying to add light to it, it makes the image grainy and gross, and just, you don't want to do that. I know that Mergen would definitely fight me on this, but my favorite editing software to use is Lightroom. I prefer Lightroom over Photoshop a million times over, but Mergen and our new photography professor, Jay, they would both fight me on this. I don't like using Photoshop. I only use Photoshop when like I'm trying to edit blemishes or like hairs or whatever. It's very rare that I use it. I try not to use it at all, but that's just the kind of photography that I'm in. I'm very into like the raw, vulnerable, like nothing edited kind of photography. The only thing that I really mess around with is the brightness, the contrast, highlights, shadows, things like that. Just because a lot of things change when you're doing a shoot, like lighting changes. I think my biggest piece of advice is just make sure that you're enjoying it. Like, make sure that it's something that you're interested in. Because if you told me, I am a whole different person when I'm holding a camera. I forget the world around me and it's just me and the camera, and it's like I'm in the zone, it's my world. But if you put a camera in my hand and tell me to go take a nature shot, it's gonna look like crap because I don't like taking nature photography. I don't like doing landscapes and whatever. But if you put a camera in my hand and tell me to go take pictures of people, they'll be the best pictures you'll ever see, or at least I hope they'll be the best pictures you'll ever see. So that's really the only big piece of advice I can give you. Like, you can't, in my perspective, in my eyes, you can't teach art, you can't teach skill. You can teach how to use a camera, but you can't really teach someone how to take a picture. And yeah, that's like one of my biggest things with art majors and art minors. Like, you can't grade someone else's art. You can't grade it based on how you see it, but they took it based on how they see it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much, Hiba, for coming out and showing Hidden Talent Media some love.
Of course.
And a really dope project that Hiba's working on. I'm gonna show you guys. It's so good. She got a little personal in this one.
So for my Art 355 class, it's advanced photography. We have to pick a project that we want to work on for the whole semester, and then show the professor and the students in our class bi-weekly updates on how the project is going. Like I said earlier, I'm very into portrait photography, but as of recently, I've been trying to get into self-portraits a lot, and like setting up the tripod and the timer and everything. And for my project for the semester, I am focusing on self-portraits and featuring excerpts from my journal into the pictures. So as Jolene will show you examples after this, it's pretty much just pictures of me in a very vulnerable state, and then just passages from my journal that express how the things that I've been going through and the things that I've been dealing with in my life. And
so using some of Hiba's tips, I hope you guys can go out and enjoy your own photography taking, and remember, you cannot grade art. Thank you guys.